This week has been kind of tough in particular because this would be like Worlds week. I was thinking like
Yeah.
usually like a Monday before Worlds is like the last hard day of training. Not to have that is pretty difficult. But what have you been up to during this time? What's your kind of like coping schedule for not having as much jiu-jitsu been like for you?
Um, it's been strange, because like I'm sure you know as well. Like I'm just trying to find different things to fill that void. I guess like entire like last week I actually just started training again,
Okay.
which is good. But just finding like different things like to kind of different outlets, because it's kind of like a feeling of claustrophobia or something, just not having those outlets of that main outlet of expression for me, which is jiu-jitsu. So I'm trying to like learn how to play the piano and shit, but I'm trash.
It's okay, man. You gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah. What
I
about
mean,
you?
dude, I've been doing this. I don't know
Yeah.
how
What?
you feel, but like for me, not being able to train, sometimes we take it for granted, when we're able to train all the time. But I realize how much it like calms me, or it helps reduce
Yeah.
anxiety that I might feel.
Yeah.
It's something that I feel like not having that has been difficult. And I don't know, like, and someone an occupant. What's the term for it? It's like when you're not doing anything, you're kind of left with your thoughts, and sometimes it's not always the best thing. I always feel
Yeah.
like it's kind of best to be busy. So sometimes I'll be
Mm,
sitting around and like, man, I have nothing to do, or I can't think of anything to do, and it's such a challenge. It's such a shitty day, and I'm sure you've kind
mm,
of had those days as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's tough.
yeah. So I mean, what would so say this is like the week of Worlds. What would today usually be like in this case? If it's like a Tuesday leading up to Worlds, what's a training day like for you?
Tuesday leading up to all. So usually, I'd start everything on the last week would be halved, right? So if I was training twice a day, it would just be one time a day, and it would be pretty like obviously not going too crazy. Probably like I'd probably do today would probably be like an hour drilling and then an hour rolling,
Yeah.
and then Wednesday it would be like half of that, probably like half an hour drilling, half an hour rolling, and then Thursday, Friday. I always take like 2 days off just before I 2 days off completely just before I fight. So I just
Yeah.
rest Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, and then I'd fight on
You always,
Saturday.
you always, yeah, you always felt comfortable like that. That was kind of like just do you like kind of having that set routine, or you're ever able to adjust, or is that always kind of like been a routine you felt comfortable with?
I'll adjust. Like sometimes if I feel like I need a bit of extra drilling, then I'll just do a bit of drilling on the last 2 days. I'm just actually have to move because I'm getting fucked up by ants right now.
Yeah, go for it. How are
It's,
the how
it's
big are
the
the ants
wild.
there? So I know I know the animals and insects are pretty big and wild out there, aren't they?
Um, there's some, yeah. I mean, I live in the city, so it's the same shit. I wish I
So
could.
you're not gonna find like those giant spiders that I hear about.
Oh no, that you've got those. They're huntsmans, but they're not poisonous. The big ones.
So they're like harmless, but they're still scary nonetheless. So it's not something you
Yeah,
probably want to be around.
yeah, they're
Although you
pretty
probably don't.
scary.
I guess living there, you don't really care so much.
No, I'm still like a little bitch. I like freak out.
Mensa,
um,
yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah, I was just gonna finish your question, but yeah, usually always before Worlds is always 2 days break just before.
Sounds good. I mean, I know we don't want to like reminisce, or we don't want to like think too much about what would have been, but how were you
Mm,
feeling for this year? How was everything like? You kind of had that good combination of good experiences your first year of black belt mixed with bad experiences that give you an opportunity to learn.
yeah,
How taking those opportunities, or taking those moments, how did you feel going into this year?
I mean, honestly, it was yeah, like you said, it was perfect because I got the best of both worlds in that regard.
Hmm.
Um, but I was feeling. I mean, I'm sure it's easy to say this, but I was feeling really good.
Yeah.
Um, like since Spider, I was training more. I started training more after Spider. You know, it gave me even more motivation um, than before. I guess just because I was so grateful to what Jiu-Jitsu had done for me, I just wanted to put more time into it.
Yeah.
And everyone at Unity was in really great shape. Like leading up to Pans, everyone was working really hard. Um, and and then like it was like 2 weeks out, Pans just got cancelled, and everything just got so weird, like so quick.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
happened so fast, you know.
it did. It did. I remember it kind of
Strange.
being like, oh yeah, no, they're not going to cancel Pans. They
Yeah,
don't give it. We'll make it happen somehow. It's not going to be a big deal. So all of a sudden, like, damn, I don't know. Well, I hope it happens. And then all of a sudden,
yeah,
like, it's like, okay, Pans isn't going to happen. We'll be around for Worlds, no problem. And then all of a sudden, just nothing. So it did, and it escalated all really fast in that time too.
yeah. What was
Yeah.
everyone at Marcelo's thinking
I
on
mean, it
that
was
day
kind of
when it
everyone.
got
Everyone
cancelled?
was like, some people were angrily eating pizza, but no, a lot of people were like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's real.
well, at least we can eat now, But
Yeah, right.
yeah, I mean, it sucked. It sucked for sure. I just didn't realize it was gonna happen so fast. I was supposed to have like a super fight that weekend, and that got
Oh
canceled
yeah.
as I went out there, so that was tough. And what made you come back home?
Um, so I was gonna stay, because I just thought I'd ride it out there, but my mom basically called me up one morning when things were getting kind of bad, like pretty bad, and she was just like, "Look, I just want you to come home. Like, I don't want you to be there for all the suffering that's about to take place there." And I think she just wanted me around, which
Yeah,
is fair enough.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't. I'd feel too guilty, putting her through that. So I just came home. Um, but yeah.
How's everything out there with that? How serious is it maybe compared to what it's looks like in New York?
So right now, it's that they've done pretty good. I think because they had a lot of testing like early on.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, I'm no expert, so I can't speak on it properly. But the cases have been relatively low. Um, yeah, only it's I think they've been confirming like 20 cases a day, and that's like on the high end. The other day it
Okay.
was only 2 cases confirmed for the day. Um, they've got the tracing going. Now they're doing a phased reopening. But yeah, it's not bad, which I'm grateful for. It's not too bad.
No, that's cool. So at least you're able to kind of get back to some training at this time, or is it at a gym, or are you kind of setting up something at your own
No,
place, or?
yeah, we just have like it's just me and 3 other people in a garage. Still,
Yeah.
gym's still not allowed to open yet, but you're allowed gatherings of up to 5 people
Okay, sounds good.
or 10
Um,
people, I think actually.
nice.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. It's been tough here. Like you kind of start seeing people get back to training, in other states, and I'm sure that could be kind of frustrating as well. You see people in other gyms, and for us, like it hasn't been that easy. Like I don't
No,
know. So you didn't do any training up until last week.
I was there was a couple days where we got together and trained.
Yeah,
But last week I started like on an actual schedule again. But yeah, it was like 8 weeks. I had completely off without doing any jiu-jitsu.
yeah.
It
How
was
was
like
that feeling? Was that probably like the longest time that you've taken off since, you know, any time?
yeah, since I started, I've had like 2 weeks off once, and that was because I got really sick years ago. But yeah, I haven't had that much time off in ages. I think the I got back, and like when you get back, you have to do this 14-day quarantine,
Yeah, yeah.
um, which is like you just alone in this hotel room, and that kind of set me up to like not do anything because like my body was just so used to like not moving. Um,
Man, so you literally just stayed in a hotel room for 14 days.
yeah, I just did not leave. It was weird. I probably could have like gotten some self knowledge or like become a tiny bit wiser from it, but I just ended up playing Call of Duty and like putting just copious amounts of violence into my brain.
So it wasn't the most productive 2 weeks.
It was no, it was anti-productive. I think like it was destructive. It was a destructive 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I think I had like a couple days when it all happened where I was like, I couldn't figure out what to do. I couldn't figure out how to like make a schedule for anything else, and it was just more just like bad eating, not watching anything good on TV, just nothing positive in the first couple of days.
Yeah, tough times, man.
Yeah, man. I wanted to ask a little bit. Just to shift the subject. I want to talk a little bit about mindset and how you feel going into competing. And
Yep.
it's interesting. Like for me, you always kind of deal with doubts. You always kind of deal with this negativity. And I like. I think you spoke recently on Flow Grappling. Anyone that says that they don't deal with doubts is I believe they're lying, because there's always going to be those. If you're a professional athlete, there's always going to be those doubts that kind of creep in. Was
Yeah,
that something that you always kind of felt like you dealt with, or has it kind of always been kind of like a battle back and forth with that?
definitely. I mean, it's been like this goal, like to be able to like call jiu-jitsu my career has been like it was something I just wanted so bad, you know. And getting these titles is something I really just wanted from the deepest part of my soul. And like there was just so many doubts, obviously, along the way. And you know, I would always try visualizing, and then even in my visualizing, like I couldn't control like some shit going wrong, and like me loot like just worst case scenarios, you know.
Yeah,
So like I just started thinking of like how good it would feel to to win regardless of the doubt, you know, and try to turn it into something positive. And it's even better, you know. So like that's the way I look at it now. Like when I have the doubts there, I just think of how good it will feel to like shut them the fuck up, you know.
yeah,
And and during Spider, it was special for me because usually I have the doubts, but I just kind of like stand up straight and just soldier on through them. But
yeah,
at Spider, I don't know what it was. I just had like they were just so loud that day, and I remember like just being in the warm up room, and they're doing like the announcements on the stage, and everyone's there, and all I can think like is just me getting knee barred by Arges, just like continually, just like that whole scenario just replaying in my brain. And I was like, fuck, if I win this today, I'm gonna like make a point about fucking how these doubts like and how this shit doesn't mean shit, you know. Like how this
yeah.
fucking thought loop that I'm in right now does not define what's gonna happen at all, and it's fucking bullshit, and fuck this, I'm gonna win, you know.
I li- I like that, because some people go into tournaments and they'll feel that doubt, they'll feel that negativity or whatever, and they allow that to go onto the mat with them,
Yeah,
but you kind of and you what people try to do a lot of is they try to fight it. What I feel is like I've had tournaments where I feel super anxious, where I feel super nervous, or some tournaments where I feel super calm, or I've had all different ranges of emotions. But I always felt like the best thing was to not try to force a different feeling, but to kind of
for
just be
sure.
able to accept and embrace how you feel, and kind of
Yeah,
use that and just be like you say, with the doubts, kind of being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna prove it wrong, or
yeah,
but you're not trying to make it into anything different, because then it doesn't become, it's not very natural. So I like
100%.
what I
Yeah,
like what you said. You said like when you feel those doubts, you kind of just focus on keeping your posture up and still being able to go through it anyway. Almost having like a good posture, a good composure on the outside kind of brings that confidence once you go on the mat, wouldn't you say?
100%. Yeah, I just yeah, that's a big thing as well. I think that's something that like I noticed helped me a lot. Like I started winning a lot more when I started actually accepting
Hmm.
like the emotional state I was in, you know,
Yeah,
instead of trying to fight it, instead of trying to like um, look for a way out, look for an escape, you know.
yeah,
And it's tough, it's they're tough emotions to deal with, you know, and it takes time to learn how to like sit with those emotions of like extreme anxiety, but once you sit with it, it's not as bad, you
Yeah,
know? Like once you accept it, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Okay, I'm scared right now, you know? Once you like
yeah.
accept it and like you accept being vulnerable, it's it's not as bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I used to, well, feel like that there was something wrong, or that
Mm,
this was bad. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be having this feeling, whatever it may be, any type of
yeah.
negativity. But when you kind of just realize that that's how it is and it's part of the game, and that you're gonna feel that almost regardless of how you feel. Like sometimes I'll have like, the best training leading up to a tournament, yet I'll still feel this fear or this doubt. It's like, man, I've
Mm,
done everything, but you know what? Once you realize, okay, this is just how it's going to be. It's natural. It's just much easier to kind of live with it, and
mm,
it's not comfortable, but the only way to like succeed is to kind of go through those comfortable moments as well.
for sure. And it's
Yeah,
only 100%, like 100 times worse when you try to run from it. When you
yeah,
try to
yeah.
change it, that's when it's terrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
so like when you're in those matches or when you feel the nerves, I mean, you accept that feeling, it's there, and you're kind of just embracing that. What in that case, what are you trying to think about? What's kind of like something you try to channel before you're competing? What's like a visualization? Of course, visualization sometimes can go a little off, but what are some things that you try to tell yourself before you're competing as well?
So I've always had different like coping mechanisms as well, like different ways I've tried to deal with that moment, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, I I read some like I found some stuff on like heart rate variability a few years ago. And I don't know if you've ever heard of heart rate variability training for like athletes or whatever.
Yeah, I think I've heard about it. Yeah, so
Yeah, it
tell me
was
about it
just
though.
it's it's just like saying that it's basically saying that the very like you want a good there's a heart rate variability that you want to achieve to like get to a state of coherence, and
Okay.
it's basically you just get to that state through breathing. So if your breaths are even, um, then you're meant to be the science the research says you're meant to be in a more coherent state, which is what you're trying to get to, right? When you're competing, you're going
Hmm.
to be anxious, but you can't be like freaking out because you need to be able to think, right? You need to be able to think quick, like especially in jiu-jitsu where one advantage is the whole game. If you're not on point, you're
Yeah.
going to lose. So um so I started focusing like um a few years ago on just trying to get that good, like just my breathing well. So now I what I do is I just give myself like certain mantras to say on my out breath, like as I'm breathing out. And that basically like makes certain that my out breath will be the same length every time.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of strange and weird and unorthodox. I feel kind of weird saying it, but it's what I've done. It's helped me.
No, I feel like, everyone has their own coping mechanism. And I feel like breathing is such an important thing because it does like slow the heart rate. It does allow you to think clearer. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, I've talked to a sports psychologist for years, and it always has come back to really basic stuff, like
yeah,
focusing on breathing. Because people get anxious, they think about all these different things. But if you could just focus on your breathing for a second, slow things down, things just become so much clearer, so much easier to like organize your thoughts.
hundred
So yeah,
percent.
I feel that, and that's interesting. So you would have like mantra. You said you have mantras just so that you would be able to kind of keep it at the same pace.
Yeah, a phrase. I'd say to myself. Usually, I'd say like I observe how I feel on every out breath, and that would just
Yeah.
be like me watching that kind of emotional state, and then also focusing on that out breath, and then I'd breathe in, and then as I'd breathe out, I just repeat that phrase um, to myself, and yeah, it went on for like a long time, like until I started getting a bit kind of OCD with it, where I do it like every day in training too.
Hmm.
Um, and then like training became a bit too serious, so I just stopped doing it while I'm training because I'm not trying
Do
to,
you feel
you know.
you you feel like you have to do it when it feels right or when it feels natural? You don't want to do it just because you feel like you have to or because you need to make this into part of your routine.
It's
Like,
something I do now. Like anytime I feel anxious, like
yeah,
even in New York when everything was getting kind of a bit full on. I think I put like a guided meditation or some shit on Instagram where I basically just said to do that, you know, um,
yeah.
that one thing because it's honestly has helped me get through a lot of uh, like hard times, including competitions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like competition would just be a small aspect of that being useful. I feel like for me, that would be something useful. And even now that we're
Yeah,
talking about it, that's something like when I've kind of gone through like some shitty days during this time where I could have used that during that
yeah,
time where maybe I wasn't thinking about that. So no, I appreciate that. I hope anyone else is listening, can kind of like take that into consideration as well. But was there like a certain point that where when you realized you needed to work on something like that? Was there like kind of like a moment like I need to focus on, channel or not channeling, but lessening my anxiety? Was there ever like a certain point in training or competition?
yeah. It was literally like the first competition I ever did. Um, I was just so I was such a big fan of Muhammad Ali, and I thought like I thought I could just be Muhammad Ali, and just go into like my first competition and just be like the champion. And obviously, I just like lost um, first round, first fight, and I just remember before I went onto the mat, my legs were shaking like uncontrollably, and I was so scared. And I was like, I finished the match, and I was like, that was just ridiculous. Like I never expected to get that scared from a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah,
And I knew like from that day I had to learn how to control it if I wanted to be like if I wanted to win tournaments. And I was serious about it from the first competition I ever did. I knew I wanted to be like a black belt world champion. So I started working on it from day one. And there was a lot of different like places I searched for like knowledge on how to deal with it. And now I've kind of got my own like coping mechanisms like we were talking about before. And
yeah.
yeah, those are the
That
things that work for me now.
that's that's awesome. It's funny kind of seeing from the outside, and I can imagine like people that could even watch us or watch other high level guys in jiu-jitsu. They can be like, man, that guy's got his shit together, but they don't realize what else goes into it as well. So like there could be a new white belt Levi out there looking to jump into a competition. He's seeing you competing, he idolizes you, and you look like, I mean, when I see you out there, you always look like you have everything together. But what people don't realize is that there's really layers to it, and there's a lot going on in the mind as well. So even the calmest person that you see still deals with these issues as well, and it has to fight their own little battles as well.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, no one's exempt. Like it's confusing, because you just want to be like just want to be like Conor McGregor or something, like you
Yeah,
just they some of the pop culture champions, they just put out such an aura of like confidence and never having a single doubt that it can be confusing, like if you want to be something similar, and you don't have the knowledge that those people would actually be going through doubts as well,
yeah.
that probably, yeah. But
I mean, I would almost bet. I don't want to bet any money, but I would almost bet any money that high level guys that bring off that aura, like someone like a Conor McGregor, I'm sure that he's had like a mental coach or he's had some type of routine to get him into that mindset as well, to be able to exude that confidence when he goes out there. I don't think anything just
for
comes super
sure,
naturally like that. Yeah,
no, it takes work. 100%.
yeah.
100%.
So man, like how did you get started into training? Who was kind of like your influence to get started, or what kind of triggered that passion from it, like from the first tournament?
So I got started on a program called Links to Learning, which is just like they take naughty kids out of school and take you to do different activities. And one day they took us, me and my friends, to do MMA. And then through that, I found an MMA gym. I started going there to train. Um, and I wasn't very serious about school, so I just started going to the gym instead
Yeah,
during during school days. My school just wasn't very good at like listing attendance for some reason, so it was doable.
Yeah.
And then I got actually inspired by like Keenan and the Meow brothers when they were when they were purple belts. You
Hmm.
know, you as well. I was watching you fighting Keenan. Like I was watching your matches at purple belt, watching you come up, and that for some reason it was mostly the purple belt generation in like 2012,
Yeah.
2013 that inspired me the most, because it was something about the work ethic and like those it was the work ethic, and learning like that you can get good at something by putting effort into it, because I didn't really
Hmm.
know that. I was like a stubborn kind of naughty kid that just thought like I'd just make it as like a rock star or some shit, you know
Yeah.
um and it was just going to be easy. Nothing's that hard. But yeah, jiu-jitsu taught me like, and those guys and you guys specifically taught me that you can get good at something, or you can become the best at something, if you just put energy into it and you just work at it every day. And if you just put that amount of energy into it, that's the amount of energy you're going to get back from it, you know
Hmm. Yeah.
so it just seemed, it was so simple to me that I just fell in love with the whole process, and everything like that. And from day one, I started training like as much as I could, because I
Yeah.
wasn't going to school. I was just training all day, and yeah, that was the start of it.
Man, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad I could help a little bit there,
Yeah, man.
Do you feel like you had like almost like appreciation for like up and comers who are kind of grinding? You see sometimes almost like when you start, you look at the black belts and it's like so far away, that and they're at this like other level that it's kind of maybe even hard to visualize right away. But you can see these guys who are still working their way up, but working hard and having a lot of success. Maybe in the I think I watched the lower belts, like the purple belts and brown belts, when I was like younger, because it just seemed just a little bit more attainable,
Yeah,
maybe at that point. Whereas black belts, sometimes you'd watch you like, shit, well, I got a ways to go or something like that. So I
yeah,
can imagine that might be the case.
yeah. I always got so much inspiration from watching the purple belts, and like the lower belts. I still like now at Worlds is like my favorite divisions to watch are the purple belt divisions. I don't know why. It's just like all these kids grinding, like just trying to get that that spotlight. Worlds
Yeah.
is such a good, like I always got so much inspiration going like the day before I fought, and watching the purple belts.
Yeah, I always like being there like the day before, 2 days before, to kind of get that energy. I don't know about you, but like before like a major tournament, I never like to just show up and compete. I,
Yeah,
I always kind of like to kind of get a feel of the energy and kind of get that, like you said, like inspiration from the lower belts as well. They have so much energy and so much like enthusiasm
yeah,
that you kind of want to like just take it all in as well.
and yeah, being there for like the day of Worlds where you're just seeing like, yeah, hundreds of people's dreams come true.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's hundreds, but a lot of dreams
a
coming true.
lot of dreams. Yeah. Um,
Pretty great. It's pretty inspirational.
wa- was was your Was your first world title at Brown? Or how did you do at the lower belts?
No, yeah, I lost like I've fought every year at Worlds since 2014. 2014, I fought as juvenile blue belt. Um, I lost there. I lost in 2015 as an adult blue belt. Then I lost twice as an adult purple belt. I think the furthest I ever got in the adult division was like quarterfinals
Hmm.
until brown belt, and then brown belt I won. Um, but yeah, just like wanting, I just wanted that world title so bad. Um, in the color belts, it was just devastating year after year, because I was, you know how it is. You're working so hard, and
Yeah.
honestly, that taught me the biggest lessons, for sure. But
I feel like, yeah, I feel like some
I
of
don't
the
think
people with the most. Sorry, I keep cutting you
sorry.
off. Sorry, I'm
No, I was
learning.
just gonna
I'm
say.
getting
I was
better at
just
this in the
gonna say.
gym.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever been to a Worlds and not cried.
Did you cry after you won? So did you find? Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
yeah. I feel like probably the best lessons and the way you become more mature is kind of through those setbacks as well. I think
Sure.
once that black belt world title comes around, it's because of all those those difficulties like beforehand at the lower belts that
Yeah.
kind of build up to that. You know,
Yeah.
I always kind of give credit to competitors who just go through all the ranks and just win at every single one, and maybe they lose here and there, but they really don't really have any setbacks or downtimes or whatever. Like they just win all the belts, consecutively. I'm always
Yeah.
impressed by that because
For sure.
your biggest lessons are through setbacks and through losses. So for them to continue to improve while still winning all the time is always pretty impressive to me.
Yeah. Same. Same. I've always been blown away by people like that.
Yeah. What
Everyone's
what do you
everyone's different though.
yeah. What do you think was kind of like the shift for you? Of course, I keep asking this question to people like when they kind of have like that breakthrough, and
Yeah.
really, I always feel like I kind of know the answer where I'm answering my own question. Where I feel like it's just remaining persistent. Sometimes it's not always a one certain thing. It's more persistence. But I'll ask you anyway. Was there anything that really kind of felt like made the difference for you, whether it was mentally or physically or whatever it was?
Um. Yeah. It was just. Yeah. It was that persistence. Like I think after purple belt, was it? Yeah. I think I had like a 6 month break. Actually, I fought in July once and September once, but it was mostly like a 6 month break from competing after purple belt worlds when I was going into my first year at brown belt. And brown
Hmm.
belt, I only lost like one match. I
Yeah.
had like a really good year, um, but before that was like just purple belt was just losing like all the time. I won pans in the gi at purple belt, but apart from that, I just kept losing like every other major I entered.
Hmm.
Um, and I came back to Australia actually, and I was here for a full 6 months, and I was just kind of like working more on my on my mental state, I guess. But I was just training so hard, and I was visualizing so much, just like imagining winning these titles, and it was just bound to happen eventually, like you said. But I started implementing like those mantras and stuff at brown belt, and that's
Hmm.
when I started having my success. So that's why I kept doing them.
Yeah.
But it honestly, I'm not sure the result, like how it would have been if I hadn't implemented that kind of stuff, because had just been working so hard for so long. Um,
Yeah.
but it was definitely the mindset. It was definitely a mindset shift. I started accepting how I was feeling more. I think that was the big
Hmm.
thing before I was trying to like we were talking about before. I was trying to run away from the anxiety of competition, trying to replace it with a different emotion, and it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. That's interesting, and I think it's so important for people to hear as well, because you can have like I feel like a lot of people started paying attention to you when you're pro ball, even when you weren't maybe having the success that you wanted. I think people saw it because you had the technique, you had the right game, you had all the tools out there, but it was just having your mind in the right place that was gonna make the difference. So
Yeah,
it's funny how so many people think that like you can train as much as you want, but if you're not able to kind of channel that mindset or kind of be able to at least not suppress, let's not say that, but be able to accept and deal with anxiety and doubts in the right way, that
yeah,
could that's kind of the game changer right there.
mm,
Yeah.
100%. I agree.
Man, so I wanted to know like there's so many big schools out there. There's so many, hubs that you can go to. You can go to California, where there's all these different places. There's places on the East Coast, there's places all over the place now. What drew you to want to go to Unity?
Um, so I just like ever since I was a kid, like I wanted to live in I want to go back and like live in New York again. I don't know why. I
You
lived
lived in
there.
New York before? Oh, go ahead.
I lived there until I was about 4 years old.
Oh, okay.
And my mom had this. We had this crazy stalker, and he kept like it was just getting really full on. To like one day he like my mom opened up the blind, and he had just like had his head like on the window, like looking through, and it was just getting so full on. Like this is actually turning into like a horror story, because it pretty much is. Um,
Yeah.
what he had done is he had actually gotten into our basement. It was just me and my mom living there at the time. He had gotten into our basement, and he had hit the tiles from the bathroom floor over, so he could look through from the basement into the bathroom like a fucking psychotic freak. So
New York in the '90s for you.
yeah, yeah, we're like in somewhere in Brooklyn,
That
and
makes sense.
and
Sorry, Brooklyn people.
Brooklyn's awesome, but yeah, but anyway, so it was just getting more and more full on until one night he was literally trying to break in and pretty much like murder us, and the cops, like we called the cops, and they came and arrested him, and then after that we left, and then 9/11 happened, so after that was like not really, there's
It just didn't seem like a good combination.
it did not, yeah, so I the rest of my child, like I grew up in Australia pretty much, you know,
Hmm.
which was cool. Love Australia. um, and yeah, so I always just wanted to go back, and then I just saw that Unity was opening, and I was, like I said before, I was like a super big Meow Brother fan, and they're some of the they inspired me a lot, you know, and just that combination of the two things, I just knew I wanted to be there, so I did everything I could to get over there. I started delivering some furniture, and then when I arrived there, I had no idea about Murilo as a coach. You know, I had no idea. You know, because he was his image was very hidden. He does a good job
Yeah.
of that even to this day. You know, so
Hmm.
I had no idea who he like. I knew who he was obviously because I had watched all the BJJ Scout videos on his amazing passing.
Yeah.
Um, but I had no idea about him as a coach or anything like that. And then, you know, it was a really great surprise getting there and having him be such a amazing coach. And he saw I was working really hard. Like I made it an effort to try to work as hard as I possibly could when I arrived there. And he
Hmm.
saw that, and he gave me some like opportunities to like clean the gym and you know uh, you know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm. And then once he had given me opportunities, and he had had some sort of belief in me, I felt also like responsible to prove him right.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like I've always known Murillo as like a super hard worker, so I'd imagine that he would have a great appreciation for people who can also work hard as well.
Yeah,
But and I also got a kick out of him. I remember, speaking of how he keeps things really quiet, I remember when they were opening up Unity, it was mostly an advertisement of like the Meows are moving to New York, Leandro's going to
yeah,
be there, all these people. I'm like, and I knew who Murillo was because I used to train with him a bit in Virginia. We would both go to Ryan Hall's gym, and so I knew how good he was. And I was like, why is he advertising it like it's, people were asking me, is this Meow's gym? I'm like, no, it's this guy Murillo. He's awesome, but I don't know why he's not putting his face on it more. But that's just how he is.
yeah, yeah. He just hates the attention, right? The
So you kind
little,
of you
little
kind
weirdo.
of you probably go for the Meows and you stay for Murillo,
Yeah,
right?
it's a good way to put it.
I mean, what kind of influence has he been on you? I imagine he's been able to help you out a lot.
I mean, everyone at Unity has been like a giant influence on me, just because like um, of their kind of that strong mentality everyone has there. You know, like it's impossible to go there and not like pick that up. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, and that's something that's really nice, and I'm really grateful when I'm there. Is like, it doesn't really take much inner motivation to keep going every day. You can kind of just let go and take refuge in the group and let them kind of carry you along in terms of like being motivated and working hard. You just have to kind of show up at
Yeah.
that point. So Murilo's like he's like the epitome of that, and he's the one he sets the tone for the entire gym, So he's always there, every pro training, setting up like the hardest pro trainings he can, or like easy depending on what he needs us to do. But on the hardest days of pro training, he'll always be like pushing harder than anybody else.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that strength is like important to have from you know from a coach, because it's easy to pick up on, and we take that, or I take that with me anyway, into the competitions, and it helps me a lot, just knowing that I've got that strength from the people that I'm around.
Yeah.
Mm.
So just having like it's not exactly what he says, but kind of how he just leads things, how he works. That's the biggest kind of like tool or kind of motivator for you guys, you feel?
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely. I'd say, yeah. For me, it's more the actions,
Hmm.
and it's probably even like, if anything, it would be like too much, because like he's literally gone and had shoulder surgery, and then came back that night and trained. Like it's crazy stuff like that. So it doesn't really give you any opportunity for any sort of excuse. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can imagine that'd be difficult. Like sometimes you're like, man, you're just not feeling it or just having one of those days, but you
yeah,
know that he's gonna be there. So you can't even think about, taking a day off or something. Has there ever been a time when is he someone to get after people for not training, or is he kind of just maybe like lets it be, but they can feel the guilt on their own?
it's kind of like the second one. He'll let it be, but you can just feel the guilt. It's just there somewhere. Or he'll
That's
just put
awesome.
like slight remarks in, here and there.
I feel like, unfortunately, I feel like that's the kind of like, at least in that case, I don't think I'd be quite like Murilo, but I could see myself being like that, where I'd have a hard time telling people like, oh, why aren't you training? But I'd probably
Yeah,
just kind of like, I would probably just, be a little passive aggressive about it, maybe, you know?
yeah. I mean, you just want to see the people you care about do their best. So
Yeah.
like, if there's something they can be doing to like attain their their goals, whatever they may be, you probably want to tell them. But he's pretty good at not like trying to trying to push that on people, though.
Yeah. How,
Yeah.
how were like those training sessions when you came from Australia to Unity? I mean, I can imagine the beginning those pro trainings were pretty hard to adjust to in the beginning.
Yeah, like when I first got there, he had injured his shoulder, and he wasn't doing the rolling in the pro trains. He was doing the drilling. This was like right after he got surgery, I think. Yeah, and he was just doing insane stuff. Like, I think there was, before, I think Murilo like didn't realize like our bodies couldn't handle the things like his and the meow's bodies could handle. So he had
Yeah.
us doing like the most ridiculous trainings, like these like crazy like sprint pyramids, where it was like sprint rolls for like I don't know, like an hour straight, but like in pyramid format. So like the first one would be like 1 minute, the second one would be 2 minutes. So it would continue on to like 10 minutes and then decrease from there.
Yeah.
And just like crazy stuff, and everyone was just getting injured, and like and everyone was getting fucked up. And now it's like it was just tough, but it like built everybody, built like a
Yeah.
solid foundation for everybody to be able to like soldier on through tough training sessions, you know. And now it's a bit more like training is hard. Don't get me wrong, but it's a bit smarter. We have our technical days. We work specifically like we know the limits of our body, and we try to keep that perfect spot. Where
Yeah.
where in 2015, I felt it was just like weed out the weak ones or some some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what
There's
his
like
goal
yeah,
was.
there's only a few people that survived.
Yeah, yeah,
He probably realized like, man, we need to, expand this gym. We want more people to be coming in, so
yeah.
probably, tone it down just a minute. Was it kind of like was there kind of like a moment where you maybe realized like people were getting hurt and that you had to kind of change it up? Or was it kind of
I'm not sure. I think so. Like, there's always been like ridiculous, like random hard trainings that just come out of nowhere because the training's always different. But sometimes he just bring out some fucked up shit that you've like never heard about in your entire life. Or it'd be like, okay, today we're doing like 30-minute rounds, and then at the end we're gonna do 30 minutes of just sprawling.
yeah. What kind of I always hear so many people like really vouch for him as a coach, and you even said like if I have him in the back, I feel like I'm gonna win. I feel like just knowing that he's there, like I got this.
Yeah,
Um, and also those are also interview answers. Now that we know like there's a lot that goes to it.
yeah.
Obviously there's more to it, but there is a confidence when you have him in the background. I can imagine. What is it when he's coaching that really gives you that edge?
I guess I just trust in his, like, I know his head for jiu-jitsu is better than mine, and I take like full trust in that. Um,
Yeah,
so, and he's just taught me so much, even about like all the details I have from Baron Ball, like the main details I have from him, So I know like if I do what he says, I'll win, because if I can do exactly what he says, I'll win. Obviously, I can't always do exactly what he says, but but yeah, he's just been in the game for so long. He's been competing and putting in the effort and focusing specifically on winning jiu-jitsu competitions, and
yeah.
helping people do that for so long that like, yeah, I would feel like it would just be dumb like not to listen to him completely. Um, so I think it's a trust thing. I trust him, and it works out.
No, that's awesome. It's nice to have that kind of trust. I always feel like just having someone in the background that you can trust. It's like a good not calling it like a backup plan, but like almost like a fallback kind of
Yeah,
support that you can have.
and and the octave he can reach with his voice is just
Dude,
ridiculous.
it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, there's no like, not knowing who's coaching you when he's there.
No, it's very easy to
I,
hear.
I I loved it. I remember at Nogi Worlds a couple of years ago, he was gonna fight in the match after mine on the mat. Where I think we were like say one mat, and he was fighting next. I was out there at that time, and across from us, Devontae was fighting, and you can hear him coach it. Like I was like startled when I hear him because it's so booming. It's so like clear.
I
You
know.
you can't miss him.
It's hilarious, man. Yeah, he sounds like he sounds like Kratos or some shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so tell me a little bit about so did you start your own gi company? I saw that Xanadu,
Oh
is that what
yeah,
it's called? How's
Xanadu.
that going?
Thanks for asking. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going good. Obviously, like there's been like a bit of a halt, because I can't. It's difficult for me to get samples right now because
Hmm.
everywhere is, how it is. Um, so it's going good. I did a bunch of like the drawings and stuff for it, when I was just like had nothing else to do and was just chilling, after Worlds last year. And yeah, we just had the idea. Like, apparently it was going to be easy, so yeah, just started working on it. It's honestly it's a bit harder than um than I thought, but I'm really excited for like how it's all gonna turn out, because um you know putting the work in.
That's
Hopefully
awesome.
soon.
Was that always kind of like something you kind of wanted to do, or when did that kind of thought kind of pop into your mind of trying to make your own gi brand?
um I think after, it was always like in the back of my head, but after Spider, I thought it was a good time to try, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, after Spider, I'd say is when I kind of confirmed the idea. I was going to give it a go.
Yeah, I hear you. So how was that after Spider as well? Like what was that money spent on? I saw a couple questions on there about that. Not to you don't have to get specific, but what was some of the stuff?
No, it was just Uber. Everything was the same except I just like ordered gelato every night from Uber Eats. It
Yeah.
was yeah, it's good times. Good times.
So, survival money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, to be honest, everything's the same. I was just trying to like save it for my future or some shit, you know?
Yeah, playing it smart that way,
Yeah,
for
because I
sure.
don't really have yeah, right now I don't really have like any other sources of uh of income. Like I'm not teaching, uh I'm not I'm not doing seminars every weekend. I'm trying to start my own gi brand so I don't have any gi brand sponsor. So I gotta be smart with it, you know, and put it in the right places and stuff. But yeah, I'm just learning. I don't know what the fuck. I didn't honestly know what the fuck to do with it. Like, you know, the most money I ever
You're
had in
like,
my account was like from Abu Dhabi or something. You know, like
yeah.
$1,000 from winning
Dude, we
like
love that. We love those Abu Dhabi trips.
yeah, right.
Those were game changers. But and then that takes it to a whole nother level. But
Yeah,
that has
hopefully
been
that becomes a bit more frequent.
yeah, yeah. I remember I was talking with Mateus Luchas about it, and we were saying like, I was like, oh, it's easier to make money teaching seminars. I remember I was teaching some seminars the same weekend as Spider, and of course, competing is super hard and it's not easy. But I remember like I was running all around for these seminars. I was making some decent money,
Yeah,
and then I watched the event and you win $100,000. I'm like. I mean, I would probably rather take, my chances with one tournament than, like I was driving all over the place. I was like all over the state of Florida. So I was like,
for sure.
maybe that's like not right to call it easier, but I was like, oh well, if there's more tournaments like that, I'm definitely gonna try to do more of that for sure.
Definitely jump in. Yeah, I'm gonna get more into the seminars. I do enjoy doing them. Like I've done a bunch of them in Australia. Um,
Yeah.
I just haven't really reached out into getting any going too much overseas. But they're a good time, especially if you got like a little crew with you. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta have like a few people with you, or for someone that you
Yeah.
know. If you don't know anyone, sometimes it's a little intimidating. I don't know about you, but sometimes like teaching seminars is scarier than competing because
Yeah.
you have to like not only teach you have to teach them, but then they want to train with you, and you got to
Yes.
prove that you're like worth the money that they paid. They're like, all right, I want to see how good this guy actually
That
is.
part's always awkward, right?
Yeah,
Funny.
yeah. I remember one time like there was I was teaching somewhere I think somewhere in Canada and the guy wanted to do there was a lot of people at the seminar so he's like we want to have everybody train with you. I'm like fantastic, that's what I'm here for. He's like how about we do like 3-minute rounds so that everybody gets a chance to go with you. And I'm
Yeah.
like no, we're gonna do 5-minute rounds, because if so there could be like some really strong guy that might be able to like pull guard and get a sweep and then just hold it and he could be like I went to this Gianni Grippo seminar. I beat the guy. You can't have that.
Yeah.
You have to put on a show too.
It's true. It's so true. I so after Spider they they what they did, they didn't tell us, but like the day after the competition we had to go do a seminar because there was a raffle at the end of the tournament for everyone in the crowd, and if you won the raffle then you got to do a seminar with whoever the champion was.
Okay.
And I'm not a drinker. I'm not a fan of the alcohol, but after Spider I thought like it would be wrong not to like
Cool.
go out drinking with Leandro and fucking Rodolfo and shit. So I went out and it was awful. It was awful, 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 awful. I was throwing up so much into the toilet. Like it was terrible. It was just like it was awful.
So you
But
just went 0 to 100 on that one.
yeah, I was just in the bathroom throwing up. Murilo was just so disappointed in me. He went from like such proudness to just such disappointment so quick. And I just remember like not sleeping all night just because I was so sick, and then like I got up. Murilo like forced me to come down to breakfast, and like I was so sick, and he was just trolling me by putting like the weirdest food concoctions together at the buffet. He was putting like, oh, it was so gross. I think he was putting like butter, like just so much butter and like jam on like sausages, and then eating it just to make me sick. It was
Yeah.
demented. And then I went. Anyway, I'm trying to tell a story about the seminar.
Dude,
But I
also, I'm
went to the
sorry.
seminar.
We're gonna get cut off in like 1 minute too.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to come back,
I
but
just they tried to get me to roll and I just couldn't. That's what happened. I was like, no, I'm sorry.
well, now you know. Now you know not
Never
to
again.
mess
I'm
with it.
never drinking again. I hate it. I hate alcohol.
It's awesome, man, dude. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks so much for having me, man. It's
Yeah,
fucking awesome. Hopefully we can train again soon when things are a bit
yeah.
normal.
Dude, good luck with everything out there, and good luck with the brand as well. I hope it continues to grow, especially when everything comes back to normal as well.
Thanks, man. You too. Take care
Yeah,
and look out for yourself and your family.
yeah, man. You too. Hey, take
Yeah.
it easy, guys. Thank
All
you,
right.
dude. I appreciate it. See ya.